February 2019, I was ready to die because I felt like I didn't belong in this world. I was taken into hospital and the doctor asked me about my life. Do you have a job? Yes. Are you in debt? No. What's your living situation like? I own my own home with my husband. And how's that relationship? Good. He's great. My whole family are great. He looked puzzled. I'm struggling to understand what's the matter, he said. It sounds like you've got a good life and good people in it. I burst into tears. I had achieved everything I was told I'd not be capable of achieving because of my disability, and I still didn't feel good enough. I'm living a lie, I explained. I'm autistic and exhausted from pretending I'm not. I was the girl in school that spent her breaks hiding in the toilets because I was bullied so badly for being different. It got to the point where I was scared to go outside by myself. But because I was quiet and well-behaved, teachers wouldn't intervene. I concluded my only way to survive was to be like everybody else. So I watched TV constantly at home, observing people, learning the right way to talk and act. I put this into practice and I was welcomed into friend groups. Boys even asked me out. But these friendships and relationships were all built on lies. I thought I'd learned to mask my autism to protect myself, but really, it was damaging my self-worth, teaching me the real me wasn't good enough. So much so, I ended up in hospital questioning whether I should carry on living. This realization was enough to convince me to stay alive that day, and I wanted to dig deeper to better understand why I felt so low. And I realized something. I didn't hate that I was autistic. I didn't hate that I was different. I hated the way others treated me because I was autistic and different. 24 years. It took me 24 years to realize this, 24 years of hating myself. And why? I thought back to when I was first diagnosed autistic, and this memory popped up. This is a picture of me aged 13 years old. I excelled in music, so much so I was selected as leader of my orchestra. It was a really proud moment. My whole family, parents, brother, auntie and grandparents were sitting in the audience waiting to watch me walk on stage after everyone else and take a bow before leading the orchestra through Phantom of the Opera. My autistic brain is hypersensitive to all senses, sight, touch, smell, and sound, meaning I can hear things others can't. I can pick up musical rhythms and memorize melodies easily, and when I'm listening to a song, I can pinpoint each musical instrument that's playing. It's as if I can see music. Autism gave me this unique ability. Some have even described it as a gift. But this wasn't seen as a gift in school. My hypersensitivity was labelled a problem. When I was sitting in class trying to process what the teacher was lecturing, my hypersensitive brain was trying to process every little noise in the room. Paper rustling, pen scratching, clocks ticking, people breathing, all of this was whirling around in my head. Can you imagine trying to think, let alone learn, with this noise? That's better. Except, these weren't an option for me in school. So I couldn't concentrate, and my work suffered. I faced the same problem when trying to make conversation. My brain was overloaded with information, gestures and facial expressions I didn't understand, questions and remarks I didn't know how to answer, and all that noise. I always said the wrong thing. So I was falling behind in class. I didn't have any friends, and I was exhausted. My parents noticed me coming home from school drained and upset every day, and they became concerned. So they marched up to the school for answers, only to be met with unhelpful comments like, she's just a little bit autistic. She just needs to listen more carefully. Confidence, that's what she needs. And then the most damaging, maybe you should lower your expectations of her. Just because your son's an A student, well, doesn't mean she is. My parents looked elsewhere for support and guidance, but the medical model reinforced this narrative. Under the medical model, autism is a set of deficits that should be fixed or treated. And even the term autism spectrum disorder underpins this. Oxford Dictionary defines disorder as an illness or condition that disrupts normal physical or mental function. Collins describes it as a problem or illness, and Webster's implies our brains are abnormal. All of this was telling me I was the problem and not my environment. So from then on, it was ingrained in me. Autism was the cause of all my difficulties in life. And that was the moment I decided to mask my autism. In order to blend in, I needed to learn things I didn't naturally understand or like, things that made me uncomfortable but pleased others. Things like forcing eye contact and making chit-chat. I learned a repertoire of phrases, responses to questions and social niceties. Things like, when someone passed me in the street and said, "Hey, how you doing?" I didn't realize this was rhetorical. I was shouting back, "Oh, hi, I'm good, thanks, and how are you?" Turns out it was just another way of saying hello. Same with see you later. It doesn't always mean I'll see you later. Often it's just another way of saying goodbye. Why people don't just say hello and goodbye is still lost on me. Anyway, I learned a library of phrases, and I never complained if my senses became overloaded. I started fooling people into believing I was just like everybody else. I left school and I got a job. I worked hard, determined to prove people wrong and show them I was capable of success. And I even got a promotion or two. But keeping up this persona and pushing down my sensory discomfort every day, it was exhausting. I was going to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock every night. My gran stays up later than that. And I was crying myself to sleep. I think it was my body's way of releasing its tension. I visited my parents and I told them how I was feeling, and they dropped this bombshell. They said, "You know, there was a time when you were still in school where we were led to believe you wouldn't be capable of learning the life skills needed to live independently. Your dad even made plans to build a flat over the garage because we were convinced you were going to be staying with us for the rest of our lives. Do you know only 16% of autistic adults are in full-time employment in the UK?" Now, I should say this number isn't completely accurate, as it doesn't include autistic people who don't have a formal diagnosis. But this stat was all over the internet at the time, and it stuck in my mind. So if even for a moment I questioned, should I be feeling this way? Should I be in this much pain every day? This voice in the back of my head said, "Do you realize how lucky you are to even have a job? Do you realize how many autistic adults can't work? You should be counting your blessings." I kept going to the office, sitting under the blinding fluorescent lighting and dizzying noises, sitting as still as possible and sticking to my script. I pushed and I pushed and I pushed until I ended up in hospital. I hit my rock bottom. I then had to start the difficult journey towards acceptance, and the same question was rolling around in my head. Is autism the cause of my difficulties, or my environment? To help me find the answer, I decided to find people like me, other autistic people. So I started a website and Instagram page sharing my personal experiences growing up autistic. And something amazing happened. My experiences resonated with others from across the globe, and tens of thousands of people started sharing and following my page. I finally let myself be 100% me. I poured my heart out and I found my community. I was learning so much about myself and my struggles were finally validated. At the same time, we were at the start of the coronavirus pandemic and we were forced to move everything online. Suddenly, I was working in an environment I could control, and I was thriving. My autistic brain that I'd learned to hate over the years was actually allowing me to excel. Not only can I see music, I can see solutions to problems others couldn't even imagine. My differences weren't just being accepted, they were being celebrated. Finally, I could see my routines aren't weird. They help me be extremely organized and reliable. I'm not slow, I pay greater attention to detail. And I'm not obsessive, I'm determined passionate, and I have this unique ability to hyper-focus even on mundane tasks. Freeing myself of my mask has allowed me to find good friends who like me for exactly who I am, and my relationship with my husband is the strongest it's ever been. Autism is wrongly described as a disorder, something that needs to be fixed or cured. This narrative implies that if we treated my autism, I could just be like everybody else and all my differences and difficulties would disappear. I'm proof that doesn't work. I'm here today happy and content because I finally accepted my differences. And I like me again. I like who I am, and I am who I am because of my autism. I never want another autistic person to feel ready to die simply because they're different. We need to be more accepting, more accommodating, and more willing to learn about different ways of being. Because autism is not a disorder, it is simply a difference. Thank you.